How are you? You alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. You?
Hot.
Very hot. We are filming this on the hottest day of the year, I think. 33 degrees.
It's pretty toasty.
Pretty toasty. But we're not here to talk about the sun.
No, we're not.
We're here to talk about football shirts, Tom.
We certainly are.
And it's fair to say you've got a decent array of football shirts.
I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah. So, what made you start collecting?
It's a very long tale, I suppose. I fell in love with Brighton and Hove Albion when I was probably about 10 years old. And I had some football shirts, some Brighton shirts when I was a kid. I've told the story in the podcast before where I rocked up to football training when I was about 10, 11 years old, wearing a Brighton shirt, and all the kids and the coaches laughed at me. But, you know, that's just how it was. Back then, no one supported Brighton. No one in Sussex, none of the kids in Sussex really cared so much. And then I kind of fell out of love with football a little bit when I was a bit older, maybe like 14, 15. None of my friends particularly liked football. So there was a few years where I just didn't go to games, didn't particularly watch the scores come in. But then I went to uni, and I made friends with people that were avid football fans. So we used to go down to the pub on a Saturday, watch the scores come in, and I'd always sort of watch out for Brighton scores. We'd play football on the AstroTurf at uni, and that's when I bought my first Brighton shirt as an adult, which is this one here, which was the 2008 first ITS shirt. So that's the first one I bought as an adult, and my lucky number was always number 4. So I got my name and the number 4 printed on it, and that's what I used to wear when we used to play football on the old AstroTurf at Worcester Uni. Again, Brighton were a small club, no one particularly knew who we were, but that didn't stop me from supporting the team. And I think from then on out, I just started buying a home shirt pretty much every season. There were a few exceptions. I didn't buy the 2010-2011 promotion from the League One shirt because at the time I didn't like it, but now it's one of my favourite shirts. I also didn't buy the first Nike shirt because I didn't like it very much. Again, in retrospect, I quite like the idea of it. It's just a shame about the awful sponsor panelling. But I think, I just casually bought home shirts and some away shirts every year since about 2008. And then it was about Christmas last year, and everyone started putting pictures of their football shirt collections on Twitter, on socials, and I was thinking, I should do that with mine. So I took a picture of all my shirts done in nice and folded all next to each other. And I was like, oh yeah, this is what I've got so far. Oh, that's pretty cool. And I was looking at other people's collections, and there was a few in there that I was like, oh, that's a lovely shirt. I'd love to own that. And I just started checking eBay and other, my Facebook Marketplace, Vinted, Depop, and all sorts of things like that. And I just started buying the occasional shirt, and before long, I had lots. I think the picture I posted on my Twitter in December 2021, I had 15 shirts. I now own over 60. So my collection has just exploded. And I own almost every single home shirt since 1978. I think there's only 3 home shirts I don't own. So it's been one of those things where it's like owning a piece of history for me. And when I was kind of going through this phase of I want to own some shirts, I picked out some shirts. I want the last Goldston shirt. I'd like the last With Dean shirt. I'd like the shirt from the year I was born, which is this beauty, the 1989 to 1991 Nobo shirt. And I started. It's one of those things where as soon as I started putting that into the universe, I started seeing things on eBay and stuff, and I was like, that's one of the shirts I'd like. And before you knew it, I was only 3 shirts away from having every home shirt since the year I was born. I needed a centenary shirt, the wrong blue shirt, and the TSB deck chair shirt. And again, it's like I put that into the universe, and it all just fell into place really nicely. And the last shirt I needed to get to complete the collection from 1989 was the TSB shirt, and when it came on eBay, it was a buy it now, so I just clicked buy it now and had it, and then within 24 hours another 3 TSB shirts had come on eBay after months of like looking. It's like a bus,
It sort of brings me on to my next question. I think everyone knows how expensive football shirts are these days, and we've seen the football shirt market boom, especially since we started collecting. People could consider that as it's just a piece of material. So why is it so important for you to have these? I think you touched on it a little bit. Why is it so important for you to have these pieces of material in quotation marks in your possession?
I've said it before. I think Brighton has a very unique and a very special history. I don't know any club that have gone through the same sort of turmoil that we have. We've spoken about it at length on the podcast, and it's been, everyone knows the history of Brighton and about what happened in the 90s and about losing our home in the Goldstone. And I think when I was a kid, I didn't really know what was going on. I remember it being on the news. I remember seeing the fans pouring out of stadiums and singing "We Want Archer Out." I remember seeing that on the news. I didn't really understand what it meant, but I knew it was important to like our local area in Sussex. And I think knowing what our club has gone through has made me so eager to support the club, and it's made me so eager to want to own pieces of history, because in 1997, 25 years ago, we almost ceased to exist. And I think that has a major tug on my heartstrings. And I also think I live 200 miles away from Sussex. I was born and bred in Sussex, raised in Burgess Hill, and about 10 years ago I moved up to the West Midlands to be with my wife. And I definitely think that idea of the absence makes the heart grow fonder is definitely true, because the way I am a football fan now is very different to how I was when I lived in Sussex. Because I think, like many things, when it's there on your doorstep, you take it for granted. So I think even now more so than ever, I'm eager to, capture bits of history and then to pass that on to my son and say, look, this is the shirt we wore in our last ever game at the Goldstone. This is the shirt we wore at the first year at the Withdean. This is the shirt we wore the first year at the Amex. This is our 10-year anniversary shirt at the Amex. This is the shirt that we wore the first time we played a game in the Premier League. These are moments in history, and I think as a fan that it excites me to own a piece of that history. And some of the shirts I own are match worn by players, across the decades. And again, to think that I own a shirt that was worn in a match by a Brighton and Hove Albion player, I think that's just phenomenal to me. And I'm incredibly blessed and lucky to own those pieces of clothing, but I have had to pay quite dearly for some of those.
Yeah, you mentioned it. We're in the West Midlands at the moment filming this, 200 miles away from Sussex. What's the hardest part of being away from your football club?
It is hard. Sorry, it is really hard. I was going to football with my dad and my granddad when I was, quite young, going to the Withdean quite often. And it is hard because Brighton to me is all about family. As I say, it was my granddad's club, it was my dad's club, it's my uncle's club, my cousin's club, and it's really tough to be away from your home in general. And no matter how many years you're away, it doesn't particularly get any easier. So it's a huge part of my life, Brighton and Hove Albion, and it has been since I was, as I say, about 10. And I don't get to watch as many games as I'd like. But when I do, I'm either listening to Johnny Cantor and Warren on the radio, or I can catch it on Sky Sports or BT or Amazon or whatever. And I always take that opportunity, but it's very hard to have that part of you that feels like it's 200 miles away, and it is hard. It's very hard.
Yeah, I see what it means to you when you're at the Amex. You're in your element. You're you know, with like-minded people, and like we were driving through Craigley Heath earlier, and I said to you, "Do you ever see a Brighton shirt here?" And no chance.
No. But I tell you what, it's really exciting because, as I said, when I was a kid and I rocked up to football training in Haywards Heath wearing my first ever Brighton shirt, this shirt, the first with Dean shirt, all the kids laughed at me. None of the kids really knew who Brighton Hove Albion were, but I wear a Brighton shirt now when I do PE at school, and all the kids know who Brighton Hove Albion are. Like, kids 200 miles away, they know who we are, and to me that is insane. They know our players, they know our manager, they know our ground, and I think about what it was like for me as being part of that lost generation and having no friends that cared about Brighton Hove Albion. They were all interested in Manchester United and Arsenal and Chelsea. To have kids come up to me now and say, Mr. Budgeon, Lewis Dunk, he's a really good defender, he should play for England. There are no words. There really are no words to see how far we have come as a club. And as you can probably tell, it just makes me feel so proud of the journey we have been on. And as I say, to rock up to work in a Brighton shirt, and for children as young as 5 and 6 to know that club, who live 200 miles away from Sussex, for them to know this club is it is really special, really special.
So Tom, you say you've got a few match-worn shirts in your collection.
I do.
One Brighton player in history, right? You get to have a match-worn shirt from them. Who is it?
Bobby Zamora. Bobby Zamora is my footballing idol. I'm too young for Peter Ward, Foster, and I do have a match-worn Brian Horton shirt, which is like one of the jewels of my collection. But they're the generation before me. For me, I grew up when I was a kid. My first footballing idol didn't play for Brighton, so then to move on, being 10 and 11 and having a player like Bobby Zamora come in on loan and then get signed and just score for fun. He was my first Brighton and Hove Albion footballing idol, and he is still my favourite player to date. I think the only person that comes close to him in my eyes might be someone like Bruno, or maybe Calde, because I loved Calderon. I already own a Lewis Dunk shirt, match worn, signed, but no, Bobby Zamora, 110%. So let's do it then. Let's talk favourite 5 shirts.
Yeah.
So we've picked 5 of our favourite shirts to talk about. We're going to talk about why they are our favourite shirts, and any particular reason for that. Joe, I've done a lot of talking, so let's start with you. So let's show us your first one. Which is your first one that you'd like to share with us today?
I think I'll start from this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the shirt. Well, obviously the last Golston shirt. If you're a Brighton fan and you don't know that, do your research. It's a lovely shirt. I think Admiral done an amazing job. It's also the shirt from the year I was born. We had it for 3 seasons, I believe.
Yeah.
Or 3 years at least. And yeah, I had to own it because I had a score draw version, but I wanted the authentic one because I'm that nerdy.
No. So I mean, the shirt I'm wearing now actually is a reference to that shirt. This is the 10-year anniversary of the Goldston shirt. So this is done by Skin and Araya. But no, it's a thing of beauty, that shirt. And as I said, to own the last shirt that we wore at the Goldston, I think that's quite a symbolic shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
I know some fans don't like the red badge because it's
the Bellotti badge.
for me, it's an iconic shirt, and I think any Brighton Hove Albion shirt collector needs to,
whether it's bad history or good history, it's still history.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, so yeah, that for me, and because the year I was born, I had my. Like when I started football shirt collecting, that's what I really wanted, but I carried on because, well, you know how it is.
I do know.
So let's talk about your first pick then, Tom.
So
match worn.
Yeah, match worn. So I've gone for what many fans consider to be the best Brighton shirt of all time, home shirt in any way. And that is the old Bukta shirt that was worn in the late 70s. So this is a match-worn Brian Horton 1979 shirt. the material, Joe. I don't know if you felt the material, but it's very coarse. Imagine wearing that, running around playing football, and it's got the patch on the back, number 4, Brian Horton. The
lucky number 4 for you as well.
Yeah, lucky number 4. That works well. Embroidered badge. But no, I think just looking at it from an aesthetic point of view, it's a lovely shirt. It's just classic blue and white stripes before the age of sponsors.
Yeah.
And for me, it just looks really, really clean. And I can see why so many Brighton fans consider it like one of the best, if not the best, home shirts of all time for Brighton. It's got the lovely little book to sleeve there as well. So yeah, it's a thing of beauty, and it's just one of those where I think even the modern replica versions look so clean and so nice. So yeah, definitely up there for me.
Decent. Right, so let's move on to our second shirts then, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So my second favourite is this beauty from our 100-year anniversary.
Yeah.
The reason I picked this shirt is because I remember my dad wearing this shirt.
Yeah.
Like as a young kid, I was like, because for me it was weird to see this badge.
Yeah.
These 2 badges, which I believe were some of our old badges.
Yeah. So when we first became a club,
so really fitting, and I believe they've got it like in and around Brighton. This sort of logo, or at least it looks like it.
Yeah.
So for me, that it just screams Brighton, and I absolutely adore. Like the seagull on the back.
Yeah.
We'll show some more detailed shots. But
yeah,
I just love it, and the Araya sponsor on the sleeves as well. I had a look at the score draw ones in the shop. They've done a really good job, to be fair.
Yeah.
But nothing beats the authentic ones.
Yeah, we'll talk about score draw and authentic in a little while. My second pick is probably the crown jewel of my collection. This is a 1983-1984 match-worn shirt, Phoenix Brewery, worn by Hans Cray Jr., number 6. I said it on Twitter, I love pinstripe. I know that we are historically blue and white stripes, but for me, the nicest shirts, bar maybe that 78 shirt I just showed, have always been pinstripes. I just think it looks clean, it looks smart. And I remember the first time I ever saw this shirt, it wasn't even the real version, it was a replica version in the shop. And I just remember saying to my dad, what's that? And he went, oh yeah, we used to wear that in the 80s. And I just remember even then I was just hooked on this shirt. So to own a genuine version of it is fantastic. I mean, it's synonymous with the 1983 FA Cup, the run that saw us get to the final. Obviously I know we lost in the replay, but in that FA Cup run we beat some really good quality teams and we had a chance to win it at the death. So again, it's this idea of owning a piece of history, and it's, for me, this is just my favourite. This is probably my favourite Brighton shirt. Okay. I just absolutely love it. And
that's why you liked the
the
pinstripe one of a few years ago.
Yeah, I think if it had been like a top 6, I probably would have added that one in there as well.
Yeah.
I really liked the modern sort of reimagination of this, and it also had a bit of like British Caledonian with the collar as well.
Do you know what I think would have made that shirt better?
What's that?
Is in recent years we've liked adding gold to our shirts, and that it's got a gold tick. The pinstripe one from Nike. A bit of red somewhere.
Could have been a bit red or a bit of white, even
that.
But no, really nice shirt. And I think for me, Adidas have been the best kit manufacturer we've had in terms of like just aesthetically pleasing shirts. I think Araya come really, really close because some of the Araya shirts are absolutely beautiful. But for me, Adidas, those shirts in like the early 80s are king.
Talking Araya, let's move on to our third shirt.
Let's do it.
Now, these are in no particular order for me. I'll reveal my favourite at the end. Or maybe now. Because this is my favourite, Tom. It's just so, like, the sponsor, old school, love it. I like a band called A Day to Remember, and they had font like this.
Oh, okay.
And I just love it because it's Fatboy Slim as well.
Yeah.
Obviously Brighton legend. And similar to the Century one, really, they didn't do a lot different. Obviously, the collar's different. That's the only thing I don't like about the shirt, is the collar. It comes up a bit too close.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit big, so it pushes my double chin up. I love the central badge. I love the central array. Again, incredible details with the seagulls in the white.
Yeah.
And as well, it pays
homage
to our 100 years as well. And obviously, famously worn at the Millennium Stadium in the 2004 playoff final. Leon Knight penalty sends us up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why this shirt is my favourite Brighton and Hove Albion shirt.
Beautiful. And talking of Fatboy Slim, I have a Fatboy Slim signed shirt. So this was the teammates commemoration of the Skint era with Brighton. And yeah, signed there by Norman Cook, aka Fatboy Slim.
I love that. I love the incorporation. I know I just slated gold, but that's a really nice gold.
Really clean. Really clean.
But yeah, so we haven't had any away shirts yet, Tom.
Let's change that.
Let's change that.
Now this is my favourite away shirt, and it is pure 90s garish out there, and I love it. So this shirt was first worn in a playoff final. It was originally sponsored by Nobo, but then we carried that on into the next season, and this is the infamous Chew It wrapper shirt. And I look at it and I just think, this is so 90s. It's very out there from a distance. It, because of the incorporation of red and white, it looks a bit pink. And I think for a team like Brighton, you know, to have that, you know, it's just very out there. It's very in keeping with the club, and I absolutely love this.
I always
shirt.
thought it was pink.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do.
I didn't really look at this one up close yesterday when I arrived.
Yeah.
And yeah, the more you, it's just, yeah. That's beautiful.
It's the same with the one with the Nobo as well. You know, you've got the squared Nobo one, but that's actually made up of red and white squares, and from a distance it does look pink, but up close it is red and white. Yeah. And you know, for me, this is just, it is the best away shirt. There are others that are very close, one of which you have on your rail there, but for me, this is just king. And the fact we had shorts that were exactly the same as this.
I saw a pair on Classic Football shirts the other day. I sent them to you.
You did. If they had been a bigger size, I would have been all over that. But no, it's for me, yeah, love it. Love it to bits.
It's a view. Right, let's stay on away shirts. Mm-hmm. First away shirt at the Amex. This beauty.
Ooh.
Look at that, Tom.
It's fantastic, and you know, I say that there's a shirt that runs this shirt close for me. This is it.
Yeah, it's just iconic. Yeah. Like when you look at this, you just think of, well, obviously moving into our new home. Mm-hmm. I know it's an away shirt, and for me to talk about a home is a bit weird, but that season, and we had a really good start to that season as well, and a lot of really decent away results.
Yeah, we did.
And I remember this guy running teams ragged, and
Buxley.
It just had to be him. Obviously the first two competitive goals at the Amex he scored, and some iconic away performances, as I say. It's one of my favourites, and probably my favourite away shirt, to be fair. I don't think we've had anything like staggeringly nice since this one, away shirt wise. So I would like to see the club up the game a little bit. Obviously, we talk about Hyper Turk, but at the end of the day, it's a Nike template.
Yeah,
I do love it, and
I think when we talk about Hyper Turk, the thing, you can call it Hyper Turk or you like, is, for me, it's Brighton blue. Yeah. It's the colour of the taxis, the railings down at the seafront. It's Brighton blue for me. The only other home shirt that I think comes close to these two in terms of the most recent era is the one we wore under Oscar Garcia, the yellow. With the dark blue pinstripe, as I said earlier, I'm a lover of pinstripes. Yeah. But there is one away shirt that I think trumps almost all others, and it was one we only wore twice in the '94 season, 93-94, and it is the infamous Inter shirt, and it's with the red Santex, you know, on the front, the red badge. It is just absolutely wonderful. I think this is probably, you know, it's a cult classic. This is a shirt that almost every Brighton fan, I'm sure, would love to own. They're rarer than Stardust.
Yeah.
To own one is like it's just. I remember when I bought this, because I thought the one went on eBay, and it went way beyond what I was gonna prepare to pay. And about a week later, this turned up, and I remember being at work because the auction finished whilst I was in the middle of teaching. I remember getting to like my lunch break, looking at my phone, going, "Have I won? Have I won? Have I won?" And I had.
Oh, what a lunch break that would have been.
That was a fantastic lunch break. That was a good day. But no, it's we might have only worn it twice, but it's.
I feel like a lot of fans might not like this, but I absolutely adore the Admiral detailing on that. Same with obviously the last Golston one, same era. I just love it. A lot of people might say, "Oh, they were just shoving their brand everywhere," but it just gives so much more to the shirt.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic shirt, and I'm very, very happy to have been able to add that to my collection.
So let's go from a favourite to some people's not so favourite. I added this in just because I wanted to be different.
Yeah.
And I'm so edgy, obviously. And I shot on gold earlier, didn't I?
You did.
Might have to bleep that out. But this season's shirt, people call the H shirt. May I remind people that we already had an H shirt in our second season in the Premier League.
Yep.
That didn't get bought up every 2 hours. So for me, I absolutely adore this. Everyone screams for the club to do something different every year. They've done something different and people don't like it.
Yeah.
But I urge people, if you haven't, to go and look at it in the flesh in the shop.
Yeah.
Because you will fall more in love with it.
Yeah.
I was in two minds when the leak got revealed on the trading card. But as soon as I saw it on a player, fell in love. Saw it in the flesh, fell in love even more. And what I hate about Nike shirts is the performance fit.
Yeah.
This is not performance fit, and I adore that. I think we should have fan fit shirts because we're not all Premier League footballers, especially me. So yeah, for me, this season's home shirt had to go into my top 5 just because I love what they've done. It comes off of the back of our most successful season, arguably, in our history. And let's carry that on. And it looks like we are, because we've played really well first 2 games. And the more we win in this shirt, the more people are going to love it. So
I mean, there's only so much you can do with blue and white stripes.
Exactly, and they've done, as I say, they've done something different. It's got the. Does that class as the pinstripe, or is it not too? Is it not thin enough? But they've done something different, and that's why I
think I look back at the history of the club. I mean, I spoke to you about it before. I mean, when they released the 2010-2011 shirt, which was all blue with the thinner white stripes. At the time, I hated it, but now I look back and think that was a lovely shirt, and that does probably help because of the season we had under Gus Poyet, and it's synonymous with Glenn Murray, Liam Bridcut, and those players that took us out of League One into the Championship. So hopefully, if we have a good season this season, people will look back on this shirt and see it as a, maybe the way I see that 2010-11 shirt. So my last one is we talked about Score Draw earlier and their replicas. This is
I'm wearing a Score Draw replica, and I must say you gifted it to me, and it's lovely.
I mean, this is a Score Draw replica. This is a replica of the first shirt I ever owned. This is the first with Dean shirt. So, as I say, this is the shirt that I rocked up to in football training and was laughed at for. This shirt is... I think it's just such an aesthetically pleasing shirt. It's got, it's got stripes. Everyone likes stripes, as we've obviously found it recently. The stripes on the sleeve. We moved away from the circular badge, and we went to this crest. It was just a really nice shirt, and it served us really well at the first season of the With Dean. Clean back as well, and I mean, one day I will add the genuine shirt to my collection, but for now, the Score Draw version, it sits there proudly because it's one that I've had before. I've owned it before in real life, and it's I absolutely love it.
For me, this holds a special place in my heart as well, because when I was a little one, that's the first shirt I ever got bought by my dad.
Yeah.
And he put me in it, not forcefully, because obviously I love the club. But he put me in that shirt, and I've still got the exact same shirt in little baby size on one of my teddies.
Yeah.
A lot. My daughter will wear it one day. And yeah, so that for me just screams Brighton and Hove Albion.
And that's what this is all about. It's all about passing that history down to our children and to perhaps even our grandchildren. Yeah. It's about, as I said before, it's about, we've gone through such a dramatic change of fortunes as a club, from being so close to dropping out of the Football League to placing in the top 10 in the Premier League and everything in between that we've experienced. And that history is unique. I don't think any other club have got a history quite like we have. And that's what these shirts are. And I one day look forward to going through these with my son and saying, oh, this is the shirt we wore in this season. This is the shirt. This is my first ever shirt. This is the first shirt we wore at the Amex. Because that's what it is. It's history. And we keep history alive. We don't necessarily have to keep harping on about it, even though I've done quite a bit. But it's important because it helps us move forward as a club. And knowing where you've come from is incredibly important, because it helps you know where you want to go and to make sure you don't make the same mistakes again. Not that I don't think we would with Tony Bloom in charge.
No, we're in a very good way. We're in a very good place. As I say, we're coming off the back of our most successful season ever in the Premier League. And from what we've seen, it looks like we could even go on and improve that this season. So obviously early days. Let's see what happens. We're recording this a day after the Newcastle game, so when we release this, if we've just lost 4-0 to West Ham, just correct me in the comments. But no, it's as you say, a massive piece of history and something that we can share with future generations.
Definitely. Thank you very much for watching our short documentary on being a Brighton and Hove Albion football shirt collector. We very much appreciate any views, likes and comments that you might leave us. If you are a football shirt collector, let us know in the comments and tell us which team you collect for and which shirts are your most favourite of all time. Thank you very much, guys. If you haven't already done so, please like and share for more content, and we'll bring you some more stuff like this very soon. Take care. When I die, don't bury me along the south coast is where I long to be. Over the downs, forever free. My heart belongs to Sussex by the sea. You may tell them all that I'm coming home. To the south I belong. The horizon, it won't let me be. My heart belongs to Sussex by the sea. The city by the sea, that means everything to me. The boys in blue and white, from Withdean to Wembley. Seagulls flying high, oh what a sight to see. My heart belongs to Sussex by the sea. Want Bedruff, the county I love. Let your voices ring, whoever you may be. You may tell them all that I stand or fall, and my heart belongs to Sussex by the sea. The city by the sea, that means everything to me. The boys in blue and white, from Withdean to Wembley. Seagulls flying high, oh what a sight to see. My heart belongs to Sussex. My heart belongs to Sussex. My heart belongs to Sussex by the sea. When I die, don't bury me. Along the south coast is where I long to be. Over the downs, forever free. My heart belongs to Sussex by the sea.